Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the SWG podcast. It's been a while since I've done an audio cast. I've been recording a bunch of really great video interview podcasts. I'm doing another one today, all about photography, music, and creativity. And this morning, I was actually contacted on LinkedIn by a gentleman who does work with podcasters. And he asked me an interesting question. He asked, what is my podcast list, or what are my favorite podcasts? Now, I love that question for a couple of reasons. Number one, I love to talk about the podcasts that I consume every single day. But from a marketing standpoint, I really love his approach, where he gave a little introduction about himself, and then he asked a question that is related to what he does in his field, but it's a question that's going to invoke a creative answer out of his audience. So I really think he went a really good direction with his marketing there by asking me a question about myself. And so what I did is, because I use Stitcher, which is my preferred audio podcasting streaming tool, it does this really cool thing where it basically puts the playlist, instead of like on top of each other, it's almost kind of tiles. So I was able to do a screenshot which captured the 9 top podcasts that I consume every single day, and I actually have them in a particular order so that I can actually enjoy them throughout the day based on the content that they provide and the way I know my daily flow goes. So I'm going to go into that. So what I listen to on a daily basis. So first thing in the morning, when I wake up and I'm doing my early morning emails and work catch up, I immediately put on YouTube and I listen to either the Ed Mylett Show, the Cardone Zone, Rich Roll, or Impact Theory with Bilyeu. And I listen to those I just put on my headphones so I don't wake my wife up, and I just start getting to work with my Arbonne fizzy drink, getting the energy going, ready for the gym, and I'm consuming that good information. And then once I leave to go to the gym, I immediately put on my audio podcasts. The first one is called Marketing School, hosted by Neil Patel and Eric Sue. It's an awesome marketing podcast. What I love about it is most episodes don't exceed 7 or 8 minutes. They're little consumable snippets of marketing gold, just like amazing marketing information and little snippets. And so I want to start doing some of my podcast materials that way, where they're just tiny little snippets. I do my daily posts 3 times a day, which are just image posts, which are basically not necessarily affirmations, but little personal messages that I send to myself, but I think are beneficial to the world, related to strength, wellness, and growth, and I'll pair them with a really great picture. And I typically do that on LinkedIn and Instagram. The second podcast that I love to listen to, especially while I'm working out, is Entrepreneurs on Fire, or EO Fire. Entrepreneurs on Fire is hosted by John Lee Dumas. It's an amazing podcast because he puts out really amazing content with great guests almost every single day. So it's really reliable that I'm going to have new material. But now I pretty much exhausted everything. I exhaust everything by Wednesday. So I'll usually go back into the archives, because it's not necessarily like a news podcast that's super relevant every episode to what's happening to today. But the guests and the knowledge I get there is important, regardless of whether it's an older episode. Of course, my sales mentor and real estate guru, Grant Cardone, so I consume the Cardone Zone. I'm a member of Cardone University. I just joined recently. It's a big moment for me to have become a member of Cardone U. I've been consuming Grant's materials for maybe 5 years now, reading all of his books, all of his video podcasts, everything, the Cardone Zone, Young Hustlers, everything that Grant does I consume, and now Cardone University, so I'm super proud of that. So of course, Cardone Zone. Rich Roll, his podcast is really great. It focuses a lot more on the wellness and the physical health aspect of things. So I'll typically listen to his podcast when I'm doing my evening workout. Then, of course, I love the Ed Mylett Show, Max Out, and Impact Theory with Tom Bilyeu. I watch both of those mostly on YouTube, but I now consume them in podcast format. The Tony Robbins podcast is awesome. The only thing about that one is, unfortunately, there aren't that many updated episodes, but when there are, they're really good. I love Hello Monday, which is created by LinkedIn, hosted by Jessi Hempel. The thing about that podcast is it's just so well produced. All the other ones are produced really well, but the production quality, the audio, everything about that is just so, it's done so well that literally through the audio, it just sucks you in. And then Freakonomics, the only sad thing about Freakonomics radio is recently they haven't put out any new material, and it's been almost 2 months, so I'm wondering if they're switching over to a different podcast. Sometimes they do that. The Motely Fool, amazing. If you're into investing like I am, got to listen to the Motely Fool. So it's called Motely Fooled Money. Another great one that unfortunately doesn't have very much new material, or kind of stopped actually, so I think they're switching over, but still there's a lot of great archives, is the Ask BP, or Bigger Pockets. That's all about investing in real estate. I know it helped my brother-in-law with some really good ideas. He's now started investing in properties. So I love this podcast. Again, sadly, it doesn't have anything new, but there's a lot of great archives. And kind of like Marketing School, they're typically under 10-minute long episodes. So you can consume a whole bunch of them. And they're labeled really nice and clear. So they're pretty much formatted in the answer to a question, or how to guide you through something that you're going through when it comes to investing in real estate. So you can literally, depending on what stage of the investment you're in, you can sift through the materials and find episodes that will address your specific need. And finally, one that I don't consume enough of, but I should, and it's part of my growth strategy, which is called A Way with Words. So a while ago, when I really started diving deep into focusing on my personal development, I decided every single day I should also be consuming new information that would help me expand my vocabulary. So A Way with Words is a really well put together podcast, and it just goes over the history of different words, origins. It's really fun, and it's great. It's a great thing to have in your back pocket for if you're having a conversation with a stranger or your friends, and you can actually throw out a little anecdote about the history of a word or a phrase. So, my friends, that is my daily podcast playlist. What is your podcast playlist? Do you listen to any of the ones that I listen to? Do you have any suggestions for me? Entrepreneurs on Fire was a suggestion by my good friend Attila Adam, who is actually going to be the next guest on my podcast that we are actually filming this afternoon. So he turned me on to that. Shout out to Attila Adam. We're going to talk about his photography and his music. He and I go way back, like well over 12 years, almost 13 years now. And we met through music when we were both DJing a lot here in LA. We both still DJ, so I can't wait to catch up with him about that. And so that was a really good one. And in exchange, I turned him on to the Marketing School podcast. And so it's all good stuff. All right, my friends, until next time, that's it for today. And I'll see you all at the next episode.